Detective Comics 1041. Mariko Tamaki writing, Dan Mora on the art. So this is the second part of the jury story, which was a really fun reveal last issue. And so did you? I'm going to assume no, but I'll ask just in case. Did you read the Huntress Secret Files?
I did.
Oh, you did. Oh, good.
Yeah, it's Tamaki. I try to read.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, because Connor didn't, and I read that and went, by the way, Connor, this literally ties into everything that's going on in Detective, and even says at the end to be continued in Detective Comics.
Yeah.
Issue whatever.
Which I did like there because it was kind of like a murder mystery with her being able to have like precognitive stuff because of Vile.
Yeah. Well, it's not so much precog. It's more. So just to explain this for anyone who didn't hear what I said about that issue or didn't read the Huntress issue, is that Huntress, because she was infected and is now being cured, she actually can now occasionally see through the eyes of other people who have been infected, and obviously the people who are infected by this parasite eventually kill for Vile. So and that issue ended with a cliffhanger of Bruce Wayne is infected. We have to find Bruce. So obviously this issue has this kind of hanging over it, where all issue you're kind of like, how are we going to get to that point? Like, where are we going with this? And it was actually a really neat thing where, eventually turns out to be the jury have weaponized it into a bullet. They've taken like a sample from Hugh Vile and put it into a bullet capsule.
So I don't like Vile at all, but seeing them rip his mouth open and pull out a piece of him to put into the bullet was brutal.
Oh yeah, super nasty.
Yeah.
The world building that Tamaki's done with like building her Gotham, and obviously incorporating the Kano and the other elements that have been set up elsewhere, but just starting with like talking about how we have to like fix the subway system now, the infrastructure, because of all those explosions that have already happened. Having Deb like yell in the hospital when they mention those survivors that have been cured, so they can cure this if they find them. It's it's not uncurable.
Yeah. So when we know that Bruce was infected, like we know because Huntress was cured. But trying to cure a Batman that has a Vile worm, whatever these are.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a challenge, I bet.
Given how skilled he is, It's the example I think of. The scene in Kingsman. So the thing in Kingsman is that there's a signal that will turn people into just like chaotic murderers, and in Kingsman there's a great action sequence in a church because Colin Firth's character happens to be like a highly trained super spy. So he's affected just like everyone else is, but because he's got the training, he wipes everyone else out because they're all not trained and he is. So that's what I'm thinking. Really that's what I'm thinking here with Batman, is that because he's Batman and he's as skilled as he is, they're going to have a hard time catching him. So that's a lot of fun. So the big cliffhanger last issue of Detective is that his new apartment was blown up. So
can't catch a break.
He goes down into the sewers, and his like base has been blown up as well. Although it was probably like security measures to stop anyone from finding anything, but all the same, as he points out, still means he has no equipment. So
the scene that cracked me up is when he's talking to Oracle at the diner, and if you look at Moore's art, the guy that's in the foreground has eyes on Bruce as he's talking about stuff blowing up. And him not being able, and it's just the look of him, like this dude's nuts.
All they are, like him running in the tunnels from when he hears the police coming out of the manhole, the little comedy beat where this woman with a baby, or that's a little dog, runs away, and he's like fair, because obviously he knows it looks creepy, him coming out of this manhole with the hoodie up. And I love that he has to find like a place where he can charge his phone so he can call Oracle, because none of his tech is like operational. And they tease that new Batgirl outfit. She's sitting there in the clock tower, in the watchtower, and there's just the Batgirl outfit's like sitting up, at the wall. So that's neat. And she's like, "Hey, you've got some backup equipment at the docks, but it's old equipment." So it's this great page where you see him in the blue cape with the yellow oval, and it's this old school outfit.
I was going to ask if Dan Moore just wanted to draw that suit, so they worked it in, but then I was like, wait, he doesn't color his own art.
Yeah. Oh, and he's got trunks as well. So I didn't even think about that before, but he's got the trunks. Yeah, that's was great. I love blue cape era Batman as an outfit. So I was all about this. And then the next page is this great. It's like another full page spread of him looking out the set. It's basically Gotham's Times Square, and all of the like screens all say, Batman, deliver Bruce Wayne, then signed the jury.
So Worth can't figure out that Batman and Bruce Wayne are the same person, despite fighting, being in the same room, which I love. I just love that idea. They're just big and dumb. But they want Batman and Bruce Wayne for the jury.
Yeah.
And it's just, to me, it's just a nice little touch from Tamaki there.
Do you know what I think about this? Is that I feel like this Times Square-esque area of Gotham, well, it's always kind of had areas like this. I feel like this is the exact same one that was shown in Future State that Tamaki did.
Yeah.
It feels like there's a consistency of like, oh, this is a set piece of the city.
I didn't think about that until you just mentioned it. That makes a lot of sense, though.
Yeah. That's kind of neat. So we cut to the jury, which is Worth, Penguin, and the whoever Falcone's left.
You had some people from the Falcones, and I've heard some other crime family names get brought up.
Yeah, the art here is like Batman showing up in silhouette, the way he's all in the shadows. And he starts talking to Worth, and he tries to say, the police looked into Bruce Wayne, he's innocent, and Worth just won't accept it, and he tells him to open fire. And so it's all nice shadowy art, and then you have this great stuff where it's just all these like lines of gunfire aiming at Batman and him like dodging. There's a great panel, one of the ones that I like, because the panels are all obviously like normal panels for the most part. There's some angled panels that when Worth slams his hands, that's in a sort of like angled panel with a sort of like kind of stretched out corner. But it's mostly regular like boxes and rectangles and squares. And then you get to the gunshots, and it's all angular, it's all, different, and to give you the sense of the action. The one that I really like is the panel of all of the actual guns firing, and they're all sort of pointing down. I just love this idea that they've assembled a firing squad, because they know what Batman's like. So, no, just get a line of people, all with machine guns, so that there's no, like, space to, like, get this wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, everything about this action set piece just really worked for me. Really into that in the art. And then we get like a little flashback to like them, because we knew they had Vile. That was like part of the cliffhangers last issue.
Right.
But we see like a flashback all in green of them ripping out like part of his parasite and taking a sample. It had been loaded into a gun, and then of course someone fires it at Batman, and he falls down and starts to turn, and he's all demented. And that's when it cuts back to Huntress, who's like, "Hey, Oracle, like where's Batman? We have to find him. He's infected. Don't ask me how I know. I just do." And sure enough, the cliffhanger's Batman, looking all demented with the red eyes, and he's ready to go for blood. I mean, I don't want to just say it's perfect, but it's pretty much perfect.
It's pretty good. I wasn't expecting it to go to the places that it did. I figured like they would cure Bruce before it set in. Like it would just be one of those comic cliffhangers that resolves itself real quick. But no, they're really going for it.
It makes sense, given the Huntress issue. It makes sense because she only sees through his eyes once he's infected. So it makes sense that it's not until he's actually infected in this moment that this is the same moment she's seeing it, and that's why she's calling Oracle. So it all does tie up really nice.
Yeah.
Between that one shot and then this main story. Yeah, I mean the art is phenomenal. Like we've been swapping between Dan Mora and Bogdanovich, and it's like really hard to get. I mean, I think I like Mora's art a bit more, but it's like Bogdanovich is still so good. But this Mora art is just like it's so clean and pulpy. The coloring's so colorful and vivid.
It was a nice embrace when you open it up and it's the Dan Mora art.
Yeah,
just like, oh, it's like Batman's almost the character that Mora was meant to draw. And then you get to that Times Square page, and everything just works with the colors and the inks and everything, and you feel the vibrancy there. Like in the Future State, which I should have put the connections together, of that neon Blade Runner-esque. This is slightly different, but it has the same vibrancy. Yeah.
No, I've been loving this book, and I think last issue I really dug. This issue I think is just as good, if not even better. I'm loving the world that's built in Gotham. I'm loving this collection of villains that are now working together. Deb Donovan, who then goes into this backup here, and honestly, the fact that these backups are still so good. And this one's setting up another story, of course. That's a different book, but I love that it's using Deb Donovan to do it. It's using a character that was set up in this very book, but using her and her journalism to set up then this Suicide Squad or Task Force Z that's coming, which is going to be Williamson, right?
No, it's Rosenberg.
Rosenberg. Sorry, yeah. I'm mixing up my names here, but yeah, Rosenberg is going to go out and do that book. So I love that Rosenberg is setting that up in the context of using this detective backup, but it's still making it feel like it's relevant to detective by using a character from detective that is unique to a detective. Like, I don't know, like the way this is all coming together is all like very nice. So the Deb Donovan story again, where I think it very intentionally evokes the start of year one because it starts off in the monorail in the city, and she tries to interview the head of transit. There's a fight in the train, so they have to go away, but someone slipped a note in her pocket. We don't get to see what it is right away, but she goes to the morgue to see some bodies, and she pays off the guy. And immediately, I was like, oh, this is how both the death of Bane in A-Day and also the death of Man-Bat in that pretty good backup story from an issue or two ago is actually going to be relevant to something. Because it did say at the end of that Man-Bat story, continues in Detective Comics, and it's like, oh, wait, Arkham Knight's disappeared, so, she's still going to be around in some capacity, but I was like, okay, alright, it's setting up that someone's going to use these corpses of these villains as some sort of zombie Suicide Squad. Someone tries to kill her, Batman shows up to save her, tells her to drop the case. She goes to Vicky Vale and sort of like shares notes and says, hey, what advice you got? But she's got her attitude, she's got her kind of like, no, I'm not dropping this, you kidding me? Vicky's like, hey, Batman, if Batman says something, like, it's probably wise to follow it. The reveal at the end of this show is when she goes home, the person who gave her this note to go and check out the bodies was Red Hood. So Jason's sitting there eating her cereal. In fact, that final bit of narration, the story found me and it's eating my effing cereal, I thought was a really funny
that is a good one
to it. So this is this is just part one of this. So this is going to at least be a few parts of these backups. Is going to be the build up to this Task Force Z, which is going to be its own book once it's set up. Good backup. If the goal of this was to feel like a solid backup and also to make me interested in this Task Force Z book, it did an okay job at that.
You got Bane and Man-Bat, so that's doing most of the heavy lifting for me, right?
Sure, yeah.
But then you actually plot out the story that's gonna make me care, and it's right there. So yeah. Plus, Deb Donovan's one of those characters. She's a nice addition to the Gotham gallery of citizens.
Yeah, because she's not like Vicky Vale's like the hotshot reporter, but she's kind of the sexy on camera reporter. This is your no nonsense. I don't give a shit. Right. I'm going to get the story and piss everyone off. Character.
It's like during whose run was it on Nightwing where they brought him back to Bloodhaven, and he had Svoboda.
Yeah. See, I'm going to see kind of
yeah, and so just getting vibes of that. Just like this is a good addition to the supporting cast because they are so unique.
Yeah, the art in this backup's pretty good as well. It's Derek Robertson who's on the art. It does feel a little bit more old school. It feels a little 90s, I'd say, but it's a little bit. It's a little bit. It's a solid 90s though, for lack of a better term. With deep inks, all that kind of stuff, which is good for Batman. You want the shadows, you want all that kind of moodiness to kind of pop. So that's cool. Yeah, all right, we can rate both stories. What are you giving the main story?
I'm gonna give the main story a 9.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 9.5. I'm going to one up it. It's exactly what I have a Batman book, to be honest. Backup,
I'm gonna give a 7.5. Like, it was really good, but
Yeah, I think I'll half a point up. I'll say 8. I think this is the only book where I'm excited and continuously feeling like I'm being rewarded for reading the backups. Like, I don't even hesitate now. Unless I see like a creator who I hate, maybe I don't think I'm going to hesitate when it comes to the backups and detectives. So that is an achievement in and of itself.